In this first lab video, I'm going to walk you through creating an Excel spreadsheet and doing some manipulations with the spreadsheet. The reason why we're doing this is if you know how to do some things in Excel, it makes this class a little bit easier as well as your Sci 230 class. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to scroll down to this particular lab that we're in, and it says first things first, install Excel on your computer if you don't have it already. So Excel is free for all GCC students. You click here and then follow all the instructions on how to get Excel. And if you have any difficulties, please contact GCC's technical support and they should be able to help you out. If you don't have Excel, stop this video now, go get it, and then come back because I'm going to walk you through actually completing the first lab. And you can do it as you watch this video. It's a good deal. All right. So I'm going to come back to our modules and I'm going to scroll down again, and every lab will have an overview. So you can take a look and see basically what are you going to be learning in this, and I've kind of thrown some things down there for you. And then after the overview is whatever materials you need to read, or maybe a reading quiz that you need to do. We don't have a reading quiz this week. So your first step for this lab is to download the data set and the instructions. So all labs will have a data set. They'll have a set of data presented on an Excel sheet. So I'm going to pull up this data set first. And this is what we're going to be working with today. I'm going to hit Enable Editing. What I want you to do is make sure to save it on your desktop so that when you're ready to submit it, you'll have it already saved and ready to go. You don't need to rename it at all. You're going to upload it through Canvas, so your name will be attached to it, so you don't have to worry about that. So look at this. We have a data set. We have some interesting labels: gender, intervention, diet, personality. We're going to find out all about this. And looks like we have well, it says 41 here, but I'm going to teach you a quick trick. We start at row number 2, and it ends with row 41. So you want to figure out how many are there. Maybe you have your own way of doing this. Row 41 minus 2, the first row, gives us 39, and then you add 1, and it's 40. So this is 40 participants here. You probably already knew that. Anyway. So now I'm going to go back and I'm going to download the directions, and you should do this as well, and you might want to either have them up on your computer as you're working, or if you have a printer you might want to print them out. I don't know why it's asking me about Adobe. Of course, that's what I want to use, but there you go. So here is a description of the data that we're going to be working with. There's a health psychologist who wants to know if a certain diet will be better for weight loss. And so the psychologist is looking at 3 different diets basically, and then a control group. So there's a junk food diet. It's kind of counterintuitive, but okay, that's going to be one group is going to eat junk food. The other group is the food pyramid diet, and that means that they're going to be using the government recommendations for diet. The Mediterranean diet, I think that's lean, green, whole grain, that kind of thing, good fats. And then the 4th group is the control group, no diet. So the health psychologist wants to know this. So she recruits patients in the United States who are interested in losing weight, and she also has 2 different groups. That one group either goes through a mindfulness intervention and another group does not go through the mindfulness intervention. And she's interested to see if that has anything to do with weight loss. So lots of things are going on in this study. So participants were randomly assigned to one of 4 different groups. They were also randomly assigned to either a mindfulness group or a control group. And the mindfulness intervention was doing a mindfulness activity for 5 minutes a day, every day for 90 days. It's pretty intense. Patients were weighed before the study and after the study, and their either weight gain or weight loss was measured. So additional demographic, as we always do, we collected some other things: gender, quality of life, like how good is your life on a scale from 1 to 7, personality, introverts and extroverts. And so what we have is a bunch of codes that are on the Excel sheet. So whenever we have nominal data or ordinal data that we can't do math on, those things, they're categories, we have to assign them codes. And these numbers mean nothing numerically. That's just a reminder. So the first category is gender. So in this particular study, they only asked about male and female. Other studies might include other descriptions of gender, but this one had male and female. So anybody with a 1 on the data sheet is a male, and everybody with a 2 is a female. The intervention is coded with 1, they didn't have the intervention, the mindfulness, or 2, they did have the mindfulness intervention. Then diet, as you can see, the codes for each of the diets, including the control, no diet. And then personality, 1 is an extrovert or introvert and 2 is an extrovert. So when we go look at our sheet, we can refer back to this sort of legend to see what the codes are. So we've already opened the file, and now it's asking us to create a new tab for an additional spreadsheet and label it variables. So you're going to want to do this on yours because this is what you're going to turn in. So I'm going to go to the spreadsheet, and what is a tab? A tab are these little indicators down here that give us different spreadsheets. So this is labeled data, and it has all the data on it. I'm going to click on the plus sign, and now I have a new tab. Okay, that's great, but I need to rename it. So I'm going to right click on sheet and go to rename, and the directions said to name it variables. So I'm going to do that and hit return. And now I can toggle back and forth between the data sheet and the variable sheet. And there's lots of reasons why you might want to do this with Excel. So what the directions, let's go back to the directions to see what's next. It says, cut and paste the codes above anywhere on the new spreadsheet and return to the original data set. So this is just giving us practice on how to cut and paste into Excel. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight all of these things, and I'm going to, on my PC, do Control-C. On a Mac, you do it differently, I think, and I'm going to come back, and I'm going to then just click Control-V, and it pasted everything here for me. It didn't paste it in any pretty way. It's just sort of right there. But Excel will do this. It will take, if you have a table, it'll take the table and put it in the different cells. So it's kind of nice that way. All right, what I'm going to do and what you should do is I'm going to keep saving this because I don't want to lose anything that I've been doing. So I'm going to come back to data. Let's see what is next on the directions. So you've already accomplished one thing. And it says to format the variable exercise to 2 decimal places. So this is something important to be able to do. You're going to come to this variable of exercise and you're going to highlight it. And I'm going to right click on it to get the menu item format cells. I'm going to click on format cells. I'm going to go to number, and it'll automatically give me usually 2 decimal places, which is good. So I'm going to hit OK. So now your data sheet should have 2 decimal places. And please rewind if you missed that because it's pretty straightforward. Okay, so let's go back here. And then it says in N1, in cell N1, change the date to 1/4. Okay, so cell N is up here. Oh, okay. So actually what I'm going to have you do is type in 1-4 and look what happened. It ended up as a date. So we need to change that to, I want it to just read 1-4. Sometimes I'm labeling things from number 1 to number 4, and I don't want it to automatically turn into a date. The way that we do that is we're going to right click on the cell and we're going to format it. And this time we're going to call it text. We're going to say that anything that's in this cell is just text, and it kind of messes it up a little bit, so I have to go in and get rid of it. But now I can go 1-4, and it retained it. It didn't turn it automatically into a date. So when you are formatting cells that you don't want to be a date, but you want it to look like a range of numbers, you format that cell as text, and then it won't automatically put it as a date. All right, we're moving along. We're making good progress. Okay, number 6, sort the variable age from youngest to oldest, making sure that the data for each individual remains in line. So what does that mean? Okay, so what this means is we have a list of subjects here. So every row represents one person's scores. This is subject number 1. The subject is a male. The subject did not do the mindfulness. The subject was in the 3rd diet, whatever that was. So we want to make sure that the rows are preserved. We don't want to mess up anything here. But yet we were asked to sort, what were we asked to sort again? We were asked to sort the variable age. So I'm going to come over here, and if I were to sort age, if I click on it and I go to data and I go to sort, it's going to say, do you want to expand the selection? And I do, because if I don't, it'll sort age, but it won't sort anything else. And the data for the individual people will not work. So yes, I'm going to expand the selection. All right, so now we're at a place where very often this is not checked, where it says my data has headers. Does my data have headers? Yes, it does. It has actual words up here. So we want to make sure that this is checked because we don't want to include these words in the sorting. So you indicate my data has headers. Now it says sort, and I'm going to sort by age. And I forget if we're supposed to do youngest to oldest. What did it say? Youngest to oldest. Okay. So I've selected age as the variable, and now I'm going to sort it from smallest to largest. That's youngest to oldest, and I hit return. So now I have the youngest age is 20 in this study, and the oldest age is 60, so quite a range there. And I know I did it right because when I look over here at subject, that's all mixed up now because it retained everybody's data in their line. So we're good. Okay, so that's the next thing you needed to do. All right, it says create a new variable in column K entitled weight loss. So I'm going to do that next. In column K, I'm just going to type in the words weight loss. That's easy. All right, so far so good. What's the next direction? It says for this new weight loss variable, subtract the pre-weight from the post-weight. So what that's going to look like is post-weight minus pre-weight. Order is really important here because we're looking for the person who's doing this study is proposing that there's going to be a weight loss, right? And so if I take the post-weight and minus the pre-weight, I'm probably going to get a negative number if I was successful. It helps with interpretation. So for this variable, we're going to take the post-weight minus pre-weight. And how do you do that? Well, let's take a look and see. So I'm going to come to the first person, and I'm going to make an equal sign. And an equal sign says to Excel, I'm ready to do math, right? So remember, we're supposed to do the post-weight minus the pre-weight. So what did I just do? Let me back out of this and talk it through a little bit more. So I put an equal sign. I'm going to click on the first post weight. I'm going to hit a minus sign, and then I'm going to click on pre-weight, and then hit enter. And it did the math for me. So let's see if this worked out right. So the person was 155 pounds after the study. They were 162 pounds before the study. That means that they lost 7 pounds, minus 7 pounds. So that's how that works. So that worked for just this one person. We could do the same for each one. We could do equals and do post-weight minus pre-weight. But the good news is Excel says, you know what, I can just copy what you've done here on all the rest of the cells. And how do you do that? So if you'll notice, this is a rectangle with a little box at the bottom. And I'm floating around here this sort of white cross. If I come and make it a black cross and click and hold it down, I can drag down all the different weight losses or weight gains in some cases. I'm going to center this. I'm going to make this, you don't have to do this, but I'm kind of picky. I want it centered. There you go. So let's do a double check on this. How do we know if Excel really did it right? Do we have trust issues with Excel? So I'm going to look here just and pick one at random. I see it was 163 post-weight, 173 pre-weight. That's a loss of 10 pounds. That makes sense. Another way you can do it is you can double click on any cell and it'll show you what it did. So it took J6, J5, 6, and it's highlighted in blue, and it matches the blue here, minus I6 there. So we can, and then hit return just to get out of it. So I'll just do another one. Okay, see, we can just tell very quickly that, yes, Excel did it correctly. Sometimes it can mess up a little bit. We need to be careful. So Excel has very quickly done all of the weight losses. So now we know sort of what the study looked like. I mean, we can look and see that there's a lot of negative signs there, but we don't know statistically if it's significant. We'll figure that out at another day. So let's see. Using Excel function in cell G42, find the sum of the exercise minutes. Okay, so cell G42, where is that? Oh, I think I already put it there for you. It's right here. So G42 is this cell right here. So I'm going to show you how to sum up in Excel. It is so easy. You're just going to not even believe it. I'm going to hit the equal sign, and I'm going to type in the word sum, S-U-M, and then I'm going to double click on sum here. Got to double click on it. So now it gives me an open parenthesis, and it says, well, what do you want me to sum up? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to select everything in the column that we want to sum up. Column G. Sometimes we need to do this. So that's it. I'm going to hit enter, and it just summed up everything. Now, let's say I want to double check. I want to say, hey, did it really sum up everything? I'm going to double click here, and it says it took the sum of G2 to G41. Well, G41 is the last one, and G2 was the first one, G and then 2. So I know I've done right. Now, to get out of this, whenever you're in the middle of something, just hit enter to get out of it. All right, so now we have done a sum. We've added up all the numbers in this column. There you go. Let's go back to our instructions. It says, and we found the sum of the exercise minutes. We're almost done, by the way. Using an Excel function in cell K42, find the average of the weight loss. Okay, we're going to find the mean or the average weight loss. We want to know about how much weight did people lose on average. So I'm going to come back up. Actually, no, it said to do it in this cell right here. So for this, I'm going to do equals, and now I'm going to type in the word average. Even if I just type in the first couple letters, the word average comes up. I'm going to double click on it, and it says, well, what do you want me to average? So I'm going to go ahead and select all of these numbers, and I'm going to hit return. And the average weight loss is the average is 7 pounds of weight loss, it looks like in this study. So I'll double click on it just to see that it took the average of K2 to K41, and that's exactly what I wanted it to do. So that's how you can find the average of anything using Excel. Okay, the next thing you're going to do is you're going to, in cell P1, show 12 squared. Okay, this is not hard to do. I'm going to come back up to 12 squared. It said P1, right? I think it did. Okay, so this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to put an equal sign, and I'm going to write the number 12. Now, how do you square in Excel? Well, on my PC keyboard, I'm going to do Control-6 to get this little top hat, or not Control, Shift-6, sorry. Shift-6 to get this little caret, or this little top hat. You can find it on your own keyboard. Now, it says to square it, so I want to raise it to the second power, which means I want to put a 2 and hit return. And that's how you can square numbers using Excel. Basically, you have to put and don't forget the equal sign. We always have to put the equal sign to tell Excel that we're doing math. And then the number 12, and then the little caret and a 2, and that squares it. All right, let's come back down here. And it says, in cell R2, use the SQRT function to show the square root of 144. So you can also show the square root. So this is in cell R2. So here we are in this one right here. So I'm going to do an equal sign because I need to tell Excel to do math. And this time I'm going to type in SQRT and double click on square root. And it said the square root of what? And we'd said it was 144, and hit enter. and that gave us the square root. So we found the square here and then took the square root there. The last thing in your directions, it says to upload your completed Excel sheet on Canvas in the assignment lab 1. So I'm going to come back out to our Canvas site. And I'm going to hit next on the instructional materials. So what you're going to do is you're going to click on submit assignment, and then it says down here choose a file. So I'm going to choose the Excel file that I've just been working with. So I'm not going to do that because I don't know where it is for me. And then upload it and hit submit assignment, and it will be submitted. So what do you do if you have questions as you're going along? So I think it's pretty straightforward, but sometimes things can happen in Excel where you just can't quite get out of something. If you have any questions, bring them to the hallway conversations. If you can take screenshots, that's also helpful. And also come to the Zoom meeting this week if you want to talk about any questions that you have about this. So start early. I highly recommend that you start early. And feel free to email me as well. So don't suffer in silence. Don't spend an inordinate amount of time getting frustrated when you know that a question can just be answered. I'm going to tell you one more thing. When you're turning in your Excel sheet, you're going to need to have really completed everything as we've done. You can't just type in the word 144, because if I double click on it, I will not see this. And that's how you're going to be scored. I need to be able to click on the different things and see what you've done. So make sure that you have followed the directions as I've done. And after all of this is said and done, the final thing that you'll do in this lab assignment, let me see if I can get there, is to complete the first lab worksheet and then complete the second lab worksheet. You'll always see up here what you've got. It's due on August 31st. It's worth 10. This one is worth 10 points. There's going to be more than one. I haven't filled this out yet. There's more than one question. There's no time limit. There is 2 attempts. And it will close off at August 31st at 11:59. It will no longer be available, and you can't make these up because the answers are released right afterwards. You get to see the answers one time, and then they go away. So make sure that you take a good look the first time you look at them. Okay, that's it. This has been our first lab. I hope that you enjoy it. And please be in touch if you have questions.